for citizen comments, so we're gonna move on to a motion to approve the minutes from our March 23rd meeting.
Motion.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Or carries unanimously. And what else did I have on my little list? Also, fbboards.com right now is doing like, I don't want to call it open enrollment, but they're taking applications for the boards and commissions. It's kind of their annual time of year when they're looking for other residents. So if anyone likes this experience and wants to volunteer more of the time, would love to have you.
I'm already on a board.
So,
Is that who all is on a board right now? Boards are y'all on?
Parks and Rec.
Parks.
And I'm on the library board. I think we'll have some
you
openings
should
if you're
visit
interested.
fbboards.com and sign up.
I don't,
For more information.
Sign up.
I don't know if I'm allowed to be on Parks and Rec,
Why?
because Steve's on there.
Oh, but he's rolling off.
He is rolling off.
Yeah, so you can,
I
yes.
can replace, my father-in-law's on Parks and Rec.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's rolling off.
Steve Root.
A lot of people are rolling off.
Yeah, and same thing with the library, so
Okay.
if people are interested.
Perfect. So what we're gonna do today is, earlier today, I sent out my progress report to council, and everyone was copied on it, just kind of giving an update as to where we are in the process, saying that we've unanimously agreed upon a map, and that map, from that map, we're gonna come up with another map to be our secondary map, and then we are going to address some census blocks that we believe should be bifurcated or split before the census in 2030. So if we give that recommendation to council with our recommendation, they'll have that, and they really won't have to think about it. It'll already be done for them. And we're gonna be the ones that are most familiar with this, opposed to anyone else when it comes time for that. So we've got, I think I was looking, we've only got 4 meetings left before the June meetings. And we were initially gonna present on June 21st, but I will be in Germany with a delegation of citizens from our great city, for Sister City. So we are going to present on June 7th now, which is, we'll make sure that change gets updated on the calendar and sent out. But I think that's better for Bob, if I'm not mistaken. Correct, Bob?
Either one is okay. I was going to be out of town the week after the 7th.
Oh, okay.
So between the 11th and 15th, so, which was sort of an off week for the committee anyway.
Okay, perfect. Well, that, I was just making sure.
Either one of those works for me.
Are we required to be there?
I would love for you to be there.
What if we can't be?
I mean, it's okay. The more people there, the better, just so they could see it, show us, like a solidarity, and that, we all have done this and stand by the,
Is it 6 p.m.?
what time's the council meeting start? 6 p.m., correct? Well, they can start them earlier, but 6 is typically when.
6 p.m. on what day again? What day is that again?
The 7th.
It's Tuesday.
7th, yeah.
Tuesday council meeting. And I would think that we would be, Kevin, we'll be in the public hearing section, right? Or no?
No,
We'll just be in the beginning.
in the beginning.
Not ceremonial, but after ceremonial, like
Regular, I
regular.
assume, Amy's really the one to ask, but I imagine it'd be on regular.
regular agenda item? Yeah, regular agenda item, perfect.
June 7th would be the formal presentation of the report,
So that would be a regular agenda item though, right?
be a regular agenda. item.
Okay,
Then before the council approves it, they'll have like a public hearing and see.
but that's another time.
That's
They,
later.
they may not take action until they study it for some period of time. Okay, perfect. So with that being said, tonight, we would like to make progress on our secondary map that we're gonna present to council, because we need to present something that we like, which I believe we've already voted on, which is map number 4. And we need to come up with another option that is, meets the criteria that's already been outlined, but is, a secondary option, so they have more than one option to choose from. So just prior to everyone arriving and when we're supposed to be eating dinner, we started messing with this map up here, just to kind of see what we have. And so we tried to maintain, this was like on the fly, we were all standing here trying to do this on the fly. We tried to clean up and compact the map more, because if you remember in map 4, we have kind of a swinging arm away from District 5, so we tried to compact the map more, and I think we kind of did that. It didn't really change much as the way 1 and 3, but it changed 2, 5, and 4, and we ended up at 4.11, which is, if we were to think at map number 5 was 5.38 or 5.34? 5.34. So just in this kind of messing around with this, we were able to compact District 5 a little bit more and kind of make, see how 5 came down through here and 4 kind of cut off. Now 4 is very linear and 5 is compact, and then 2 didn't change. So 2, only thing that changed in this one is 4 and 5. Okay, perfect. I thought 2 changed a little bit. So we were able to, or we, just sitting here. So any food for thought, any feedback? Obviously nothing's been saved. These are just live lines that we've just been changing while we're sitting here. So is there any feedback from the group as to what we're coming up with? The reason we're doing this is we have to have a second option to share.
And once again, what are the red lines again, just?
That's map 4. That's our one that we all voted unanimously 2 times ago to be our primary map. Now, obviously, we can change that. If we come up with something better, we can say, we want this to be the primary one. So, but with that being said.
Okay, I see, just the colors were off a
Right,
little
so
bit.
all I did was just kind of follow Farmers Branch Creek through here, and I grabbed some of the, and put that, so this actually neighborhood was already in 5, and now it's back to 5. So with that being said, it just compacts 5, and it makes 4 a little bit more linear, and then nothing changes with 1, 2, and 3. So any feedback while we're sitting here? We also have a resident in 5. We could have her speak up about 5, right? You're in 5? Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts about the changes to map 4 to, we could just, whatever we talk about tonight will end up being a map 6. So we're gonna call this just a preliminary 6, because we, as a group, we will continue to change this tonight until we come up with that map 6. So what are your thoughts? Because you'd raised thoughts about all of a sudden now you're going from 5 to 4, and which is a big deal. And that does occur, but just what are your thoughts about, does this feel or look better for the folks in your neighborhood, or how does this all?
I mean, I think it aligns up more to what is, or similar to what it is, right, with the line around Brookhaven?
Right, so.
Is that what I'm seeing?
Right, so what we changed, what was changed, if you put 4 back on, the lines on 4, just drop the overlay of 4 on there real quick. Was this piece of Brookhaven right here that was in 2 originally, got pushed to 5 in one of our maps, and then it got pushed to 4. So now it's kind of more contiguous with Brookhaven, as well as this neighborhood, Wooded Creek, goes back to 5, which is where it was originally from.
Right.
And then part of all this hinges on this neighborhood right here, Johnson Creek. I think there's 1,920 people in that area. It's hyper populated, and I wanted that in 2, and I tried to put it in 2 everywhere. It belongs in 2, in my opinion. But when you put it in 2, it messes everything up. You can't get the people out of any of the districts to go back out to make the numbers work. So with that being said, some of these end up in 4, which is where they are right now. This area is in 4 now. So some of them end up in 4, some of them are in 5. There was no way, we have an incumbent right here. So if we start trying to shift the map around and move District 3 into 1 and 1 into 2 and move these things around, we have to remember we have incumbents and candidates in place that are kind of pins in the map that you can only move so far.
Why did you say they belonged in 2?
You know, I grew up in this, I still grew up, my parents still live right here. And I played in this area for my entire time. And I walked the district many, many times. And so when I feel like I think of the neighborhoods and socioeconomically where the neighborhoods align with one another, I feel like this neighborhood is very, very in line with some of the neighborhood that's in the heart of 2 right now. And from a representation standpoint, would they be more in line, just voting and whatnot? I think that if this District 2 becomes strong enough, like we've drawn it, to elect a second Hispanic, this would be a great addition to that neighborhood, or to that district. It's just hard to make it really kind of go together, just from a logistics. Like, I even started drawing just there and including just this neighborhood in there and trying to go out from there, and I couldn't make it work. This was many, many maps ago, but still, this achieves some of that now. But it kind of splits the neighborhood, so I don't know how but any other feedback, or?
Just one more question. Is that the same reason that 5 and then map 6 doesn't drop all the way to Valley View? There's like that little hat that kind of.
So explain again. So this is what the red lines represent is 4.
Right.
Come on up. And the colors we have now, it would be a 6.
Like this. Like, is there a reason that this doesn't drop to Valley View?
Well, when we did that, the numbers, I think this was like 600 people or 450 people. We had to do that to get the numbers to flow.
Yeah, flip it.
So
Flip it
flip those back to 5 and watch what happens to our percentages. I think it actually throws us above 10. I think it's 14 is where it was. %17%. So it's a very, very dense neighborhood. Those houses are.
Could we get that corner back to the 4?
This corner?
This corner right here. That piece right there.
You want this to 4?
Yeah.
There's, how many people are up there? 2?
Oh,
Oh,
no.
1,350?
This particular
Or
one.
either 13 or 1,500 in there.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
1382.
1382, so
So
you're,
it doesn't work.
doesn't work, yeah, you have to, that 1382 is basically this.
Yeah.
So it's like a 1-for-1 flip as to,
We can't drop the other side of 5 down to Valley View because of the incumbent, right?
this right here. There's, the incumbent is here and one street over is a candidate. And then right over here is an incumbent, or a candidate.
That's the candidate.
Candidate. So we have an incumbent, candidate, candidate.
Yeah.
I mean, they're within 500 feet of each other. And I don't think we would ever draw through those 2 areas. I don't think we'd ever bisect that. Because if we did, Kelsey, and you brought 5 all the way straight down, there's not enough people on this side to make up for what you just took
Well,
away.
Yeah, I was thinking if you just cut it at Valley View, like just dropped it down to Valley View.
This piece,
Yeah, but there's no way we can.
there's no
So,
way, yeah, there's no way. Even,
Those,
Now,
I
where
would
does
say
it-
that particular neighborhood on that side at the corner of Valley View and Morris there aren't really a part of it.
no, they're not. It's the,
They're more
What's
with
it
the
called?
ones across the strip, across Valley View there.
what's the name of the,
Classic.
what's the name of the farm? I can't think. The farm that was there?
Oh, don't do that. George's estate.
George, what's
Well,
the
it
last
was
name?
Glad Farm.
Glad Acres Farm. So
George's
that
estate.
farm, those white gates that you see right here, that was the entrance to the farm that was in the house, was kind of back there. We played on the house.
They had
Before they
an
put the-
equestrian center.
Yeah. So
So where is Josie from top to bottom?
Josie from top to bottom is right here.
I like that you used the creek as one of the boundaries because it's
That's-
kind of
that's-
stands out. It makes sense.
Any other feedback?
Doesn't look as nice, but it makes sense. The creek.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
Does
so
the creek go,
undo the deviation for these 3 streets right here, please. So that puts us back to 4.1. Go ahead.
does the creek go along Valley View or does it go south of Valley View?
Okay, so right here, it briefly runs parallel with Valley View, and then it dips under at the Templeton Trail Bridge,
Yeah.
and then it kind of goes, it becomes on the south side of Valley View, and then it dips in behind the houses that are on Brook
Roseline, or not?
Brookline, and Brook Hollow,
Brook Hollow.
and Templeton, or where the other,
So what if we continued the boundary along the creek through there?
this census block right here messes everything up. Click on it. That census block messes that whole idea up.
You gotta redo the
Like
census
gerrymander.
block.
Right, so that's why I mentioned, and, you know, the quicker we get done wrapping up our second map, we're gonna look at, I can already think of 6 that I would definitely split. But as a group, we need to talk about, you know, there's one up in District 1, there's definitely this one right here along Myra
Yeah.
and whatever the street is right here. Oh, I can't think. Not Ridge Oak, but
Oh,
Myra.
we're talking about this one.
Yeah, this one's the big long, that's another one that definitely can be. So there's a bunch of them that look like that,
Crazy.
Thompson, are there any central, census blocks that, are like Path Farmers Branch, Park, Dallas? Do they split that way, or do they pretty much stay within the city?
no, they'll stop at our city line.
Okay, just one, I was
They'll
just,
stop.
yeah, okay.
So let's zoom back out. Albeit it doesn't look as pretty as the other one, it might make more sense. I don't know.
I like the other better.
Like the number.
I think it has a certain sense to it, yeah.
It makes sense on a couple levels. But we
But
have-
this is a good option.
So what's 4, is 4 3.44? Or is it 2.44?
What do you mean?
The
Standard deviation.
standard deviation
Oh.
from high to low. And also, I think if we look at the Hispanic population and the Hispanic voting age population, I think this one that's up there improves over 4.
3.37.
3.37 to 4.11, so we are like,
Yeah.
we're like 0.7%. We're not that far away.
And 5 went up and 4 went down.
Okay, so now let's look at the numbers for the Hispanic total population and the voting age population of map 4 versus map, what we're looking at right now.
Let me get that over. And, voting age population?
Yes, and I gotta finish something.
Well, that tells a good story.
Does, doesn't it? So that's Plan 4 versus Plan 5. So I'm not up there to read it. Read them to, read what they, oh, there they are.
Oh, there they were.
I still can't see. My 42-year-old eyes are just bad.
Are we reading the Hispanic, non-Hispanic?
Yeah.
Can you read?
Yeah.
So
Wait till it's my age.
75.32 for 1. The map, is that what you're wanting to read?
So I want to know the difference in 4 to 5. What did we do to this last map 6? Did we increase or decrease the Hispanic voting up, the VAT for Hispanic and the total population for Hispanic? I want to know those two things from 4 to
I
5.
think,
Map.
4 is more.
Can you pull up the
5
bottom
is-
of that window so I can see that header?
Plan 4.
Yeah, Plan 4 is.
Plan 4 is more.
Yeah.
What
For-
percentage points? Are we talking like
So
10?
number 5, no, number 5 is,
6% about. So number 5 is 30.17. And.
Oh, but those are two, okay, I apologize. We didn't make any changes to 1 and 2, which are the two districts we've identified, so I don't know what I was just thinking. It doesn't,
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter.
it
So it doesn't
matters,
matter.
but
But it
it
doesn't-
Doesn't help.
it doesn't help the two districts that
That we
we've
want.
previously
Yeah.
identified as our two majority
Yeah,
districts.
minority, yeah.
Majority, minority, okay, I apologize for getting us off on
I'm
that.
I'm a little slow, so the one map we did last time, that was
No,
5?
that was 5, but the one before that was 4. That's the one we compared last time, and we had some people trying to tell us that they liked 4, and then we talked through it, and we went back to 4.
Right,
Right,
I like 4.
which was 2 meetings ago. So this, right here, so that really, those two components are not,
It didn't change.
they're not relevant to us making this decision on map 6. Really, it's compactness and neighborhoods, which I believe we addressed neighborhoods. And
If we're wanting to just add a map, this could be.
it could be a map, or it could rise to be above them 4 at some point, if we continue to talk through. Because nothing changed on 4.
The ones, yeah.
On 1 and 2, between these two maps. Only thing that changed is lines, and our deviation went up 0.7%. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Perfect. Nancy, you have any feedback?
No, I think, I like this one. I think we took care of some concerns, and I think we tweaked a couple of districts that are gonna be much more positive now on the numbers.
This
So I like
This would be
one.
6, right?
Bless you.
This is the newest one, Christie.
Thank you.
It's a new one.
I need help. Okay,
Save it.
you know, it's an option, so we've got a couple that look good.
Well, this could be a second map, but we've never had one go this easy, so we gotta talk more.
Oh, man.
So we're not just gonna let this just roll off like this. We gotta talk, we need to hear some more critical points and some more positive points, because so far we've never had one go this easy.
Okay, so 4 has negative 2 it's almost 3.
209 people.
So could there be that much growth in that area, or do we not care?
And 4 will get growth for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or 5
That's
is.
what we talked about.
5 is the one,
So we talked
2
about
and
that
5 are
stuff.
very,
Yeah.
very landlocked, but 5, if the council or P and Z was to ever consider this warehouse district up here, after what we've seen over here,
Yeah.
anything's possible.
Right.
All this up here is warehouse area.
Similar,
So
yeah.
This has none in it.
So correct me, so the ones that are landlocked and they're like 2, there's whatever, it's a 1-for-1. if
1 for
anything
1,
changes.
exactly right, 1 for 1. We take out one house, put one house in.
Right.
This, we could take out a 17 or 18-foot clear story warehouse that doesn't qualify for the 35s and 40s that they want, and we could put in apartments or something else there, townhomes, brownstones, whatever P and Z and council could put there. Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a question. If I understand correctly, I may be in error, but all we can actually do today, we know we're gonna have change on the east and west side, but all we can deal with is the known now.
Right, you're
Is that
right.
correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't want us I wouldn't
Adjust.
allow us to make a deviation to account for growth. I think that's
Okay,
not the right thing.
good.
We address our numbers today, and that's what we're
That's how
doing.
I feel.
So that's why the entire time, my focus is to get the deviation as close to 0 as possible. We couldn't, but to just be as close to 0 as possible. So the one that we have so far was 3.45 or 44, and we're at 4.11, and map number 5 was 5 point something,
Oh, I
44.
just had it.
5.34.
5.34, we're good there, 5.34. So, with that being said, does everyone, if we go back to the map, does everyone understand 5.34? Some of the feedback I heard I had neighbors come by and say, what was this neighborhood not a part of Brookhaven, which was District 5? I got a couple of residents came by to the house.
To your door.
I asked you that myself.
But I had a couple stop by. So with that being said, it addresses, it makes sense, it does. It does, I mean, these are the estates of Brookhaven, the estates, the ones that had larger lots.
That makes sense.
Makes sense, it does.
Every right to come to your door. Just kidding.
Okay, so any other feedback, good, bad, indifferent?
Can we zoom in on Johnson Park?
Johnson, oh, okay, Johnson Parks are hyper, are a little bit here. So we could add more and take more back. What happens is then you get, this is a big long finger right here. This one is kind of gigs that have a thumb. But you can click on them and see what they are, what they represent. And they're quantitative, the whole group is, I think, almost 1,900. Get those two, you're missing a couple of streets in there, the Long Mead,
Yep.
17, 19, yeah.
And in map 4, what is that a part of?
And can you lay map 4 lines over there,
I think
please?
that was all part of 5, because 5 came down further.
Yeah, all the way
That-
down.
That all is part, yep, all part of 5.
And let me clear, and we give you a little bit. There you go. Ms. Hollins?
But currently, it's in 4. So if you were even lay another set of lines over, you would see that 4 brings all that together. But all of this is in 5. I mean, is in 2.
Yeah, yeah.
It's weird. It's
Currently,
It's
yeah.
weird. Okay. Any other feedback, thoughts? Yes, no, maybe so?
I like what it's done to the numbers, but it does bother me that Johnson Park is cut through the middle. But I understand why, and I don't know what the answer is, other than to just play around. But then then we have to adjust everything to account for that large of a population.
Right, and in taking those 3, 4 streets out right there, it compacts 5 110% by taking that leg out of it, because that leg goes all the way down to 635 and Josie to Webb Chapel, between 635, where that mountain of caliche is, that TxDOT's got there.
So the way this is drawn now, there's a 77 deviation, is that what it is?
4.11.
Well, I'm looking
There's
at
77.
5.
Oh, it means there's 77 more people above
Yeah.
the ideal.
Oh, yeah, so 5 has 77 more people, and 4 is 209 short. But like Nancy said, we don't want to base that on, well, it could
Right.
grow, but it will grow. We can't say that, though. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Is it hard, it's hard to not know that.
What did we
We shouldn't
well,
worry about it.
know
but
what's
then-
entitled, we can't take what's entitled into this. We weren't charged with that. If we look at the charter and we look at the resolution, that doesn't include anything about, it says deal with the numbers. It doesn't say future, even though Bob made the point last meeting that we're 2 years behind already, which we are.
Mercer and.
So with that being said, that doesn't make me feel bad. I don't feel like we're doing a disservice to 4 by them having 209 less people than the other districts, because our deviation is still 4.11. Bob, do you have any feedback?
Yeah, no, I think if you wanted to, underpopulate one because you think that it's going to grow, for example, you can do that to some extent, but you've got to stay within the 10%. And, so the main thing is stay within the 10%. And in doing that, there's not a lot of flexibility to underpopulate or overpopulate very much. So,
Well, that's if we're staying within the 10% and we know that Johnson Park could go in where should belong, could we have the deviation more in one area where we know that it's gonna be more populated? Does that question make sense?
Well, now, whenever, I don't know how many people there are on that, but whenever you take, say, 200 people out, you're putting 200 people in another one.
Somewhere else.
So,
Yeah, like in
you know,
two.
those are gonna affect the deviation.
So you're saying since we know that there's gonna be growth in 4, if we just add the rest of Johnson Park into 5, knowing that 4 is gonna make up for that difference?
Yes, but 5
So-
is similar to 4 in that they have those warehouses, which I know, again, we're not, that's
Right,
not-
so Kelsey, I wouldn't be any more comfortable depleting population out of 4 and putting it with Johnson Park to achieve the known growth that we have. This is about as far as the deviation I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
Obviously, the group can vote, I don't vote, but right now, 4 is 209 short of being equal to the rest of the districts. We already know it's entitled in 4 is going to exceed that. It probably exceeds that today, but it doesn't, we're not here to guess. We're here to use the numbers we have, and we're using the numbers we have, and look what we have. Look really pretty good.
I think your comment,
Yeah,
sorry.
Bronson, and I'm certainly not as familiar with growth patterns and so forth as any of you are, but is 3 the area where there's likely more growth, simply because in that southern part, there's so much
3,
development, and a lot of it's going to be multifamily?
well, 3 and 1 are going to be explosive. We know that, and but we drew those to account for an incumbent and a candidate. So really, one doesn't change. 3 can grow, but 3 would grow east, and and the only thing that can happen out there, it means 1 grows south, which that doesn't really work. So we really kind
No,
of,
I understand. I was just thinking that 3 might be where the most growth is.
right, and the way we have 1 and 3 right now, there are 41 different people difference between the way they are today.
Yeah.
That's the most responsible thing to do, knowing that they're going to grow exponentially over time. So to make those equal now is going to let them be equal in the future. You know, they're going to grow equally over, I mean, because we've got that little thumb down, picking up that candidate, that's got a huge number of
Yeah.
growth.
One thing, and this is a policy matter, you know, y'all decide the policy, not me. But if you wanted to make that Valley View line straight across on the west side, you know, that might be an alternative. Now, that cuts the candidate out, but, you know, if you had that as an alternative to present, if that candidate loses in the election, because your ultimate decision or recommendation to the council will be after you know what the election result is. If you do that, though, you've got to drop below Valley View on the east side to pick up some population to balance that.
Right, and so, Bob, I think that I think we shouldn't do anything like that until after the election. Just to make fair, I don't want it to look like we're assuming someone was gonna win or lose, because I don't wanna be on the wrong side of that. I don't wanna be accused of being impartial when I'm trying to be as
Safe.
what's the word? I can't even think. Transparent as possible. I'm trying to be as,
Except if the person loses and then you know that
right, we'll definitely have,
we can have that in.
When's the election? May?
so the 7th, it'll be canvassed at the 17th, right? So that'll happen after us, but we'll really know, we'll know the results by then.
Meeting by the first
Right,
meeting.
right, hold on one second.
Yeah, there won't be a runoff, and you really don't even need to wait for the canvass, because you're gonna know what it is unless it's 2 or 3 votes. on election night, you'll know.
Yeah.
So we'll just wait on that conversation.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. So I know that we had talked about a 6th potentially. Is that something that we would want to look at or no?
I think I thought that would be a good idea, but a sixth district is just never gonna
Nope.
happen.
Not now, maybe next time. Maybe in 20,
have an odd
maybe in
number.
2032, maybe, or 2020, maybe in 2030, that could be, let's just put it this way. There's no support on council for it, so we're wasting our time. And it goes to multiple levels, that they all can feel diluted if you have to add in at large to account for them having equal, or there's a whole nother side of people that don't want our mayor, not because our mayor, just our mayor in general voting. So it's two completely, we're talking like Clash of the Titans.
I agree.
So, no.
So we're just done. That ended before it started.
I
I'm
agree.
hesitant to put together the second map when we know that the election's only a few weeks away.
Oh, no, we're gonna delay. We're moving forward.
We could have
I
3
promise.
maps
But
then.
I'm gonna tell you why? Because we're gonna move forward and lock this one up, and we're gonna move forward to doing positive things like dividing census blocks. That's a fantastic thing that we can go ahead and equip our council with. So the next group that sits here doesn't have to deal with the Myra one, doesn't have to deal with the Farmers Branch Creek one, doesn't have to deal with the one up there in Crystal's district that's,
On the middle of the street.
Oh, yeah, where it's literally one street.
there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So with that being said, our time can be spent else, we didn't even have to extend this past the election. I just started looking and thinking 10 meetings sounded really good, twice a month. That's what I thought. I didn't want to do this for a year, let's just put it that way. I kind of want to look at it like 5 or 6 months, twice a month, and let's just get it knocked out. No one told me that we had to present in June or whatnot at all. I just thought, let's just get it done. So with that being said,
Let's get it done.
Kelsey, I don't want us to think that, like, the way my hair was blowing that day, I decided June, but it could have been May, and we would have not had results.
Yeah.
I think fortunately, we've got some tools available to us now that have never been available before. This whole thing, and Sherry makes it very, very simple to see exactly where we're going and then what we've got and where we could go and all that.
Right, I agree. And I think that if we were to, obviously, we'll know some fantastic election results, not one way they're just fantastic, that we'll have the info, it's info. We could, as a group, decide if we need to make a change or not. I think that if we read what we were tasked with, I think nowhere in what we were tasked does it says wait on election results. It says you take into account where your candidates are and you take into account where your incumbents are and you move forward with the numbers and you make a map. That's what we've done.
So,
I do have a question. So map 4 we like, or maybe we move it to this one. The other map that we take before council, do we need to change the districts substantially? So like on this one, right, 3 of them didn't change at all, and we like that. But should this second map change them so that they
I
have
think
options
let's
like
just
that, or it
say,
doesn't matter?
If we were to fast forward to what we present, 4 and 6 could be presented. I think there's enough of a difference
Okay.
that it shows them 2 different looks.
Yeah.
And even though we didn't change 1, 2, and 3, there's really,
That would be okay.
it's really difficult to change 1, 2, and 3. We really have cut these up. You had us cut up for an hour one night, those different streets, figuring out how it worked on on the Tom Field Road, where, and we ended up with like a middle finger sticking out. But we got rid of that, and we were able to kind of modify the next meeting. We were able to think further past that and really kind of, and that's how we ended up on map number 4, which really takes the intersection of 5, 2, and 3 and makes it look great.
Yeah.
It doesn't have this overlaying look of, like the Shaw versus Reno, where it looks like a weather map.
And then just looking at it without knowing numbers, it looks balanced because you got 4 and 3 being long and skinny, and some other ones, you know, going vertical versus horizontal. It just looks pleasing.
Yeah.
They balance each other out. It's like we've got almost like a mirror.
So this will
image
be
of each
interesting.
other.
We're gonna have a vote here in a little while about if we wanna make this a secondary map, we'll call this map 6. And I'd be interested to see where everyone,
But your comment on that neighborhood where you, like, I keep thinking about that and how nice it would be. Cause like
if you,
what I'm
okay,
saying-
if you
what-
take that and put that all in 2, it becomes, the population jumps above the District 1, I think.
But
It jumps
it's
above the population in
landlocked.
District.
That little, like, if you were to put it in 2, it would improve it.
But what in
1 and 2 are Hispanic. So
But there's no way to get the population back out of that
I think
to,
that went back to
If you
like,
give it to
if
2, you
we
gotta
were
take a
to-
part of 2 out.
Yeah, yeah, but
yeah, so
But which
before,
one would you take
focus
So
out?
the
before you got
majority
here-
of our deviation on
so
one
before,
area that's growing.
so before you got here, we tried that. We tried to take this and put this over here and figure out what that means is all this has to go to 5. Because now 5 is 1,300 people low. So it has to go to 5, and we can sit here and do, we have nothing else to do. This is what we're here for. We can do that and show what happens. And to draw a 2 like that, you end up with a 2 that looks like this. And 2 is right in the middle by itself. And then you have 1 going up here and grabbing all of that, which used to be District 5. And like I said, it's very, very possible.
Well, I'm hearing, I think we should try it, so
Well,
then
let's- we have
at least
nothing.
they're all together and they've got.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is,
representation.
before we change anything, let's just save this as just a 6 maybe dash temp. So we don't lose it, and then when what we change coming up, it may.
So, what do you want him to put in 2?
She wants all of Johnson Park in 2.
Is there any part of 4 that we can move into 5 if we move Johnson Park into 2?
Well, what happens is the way that park comes, or the where the incumbent and one candidate are right now, on that corner, that's what kind of throws it all off.
What's the population in that, or just for, I know we can't do it, but what's the population?
2 something.
Okay.
Give Kelsey the population of these 3 districts right here, please.
These guys, okay.
Just
One
those 3.
second, let me, this little group right here.
That one, and that one, correct. 190, 200, yeah, so it's 200 people. But there's a, so then, you got to pull this down. The whole map down. So let's just say we put them in there with Brookhaven. Well, then you take out the north side of Brookhaven, because that's where Mr. Merritt's at. Which is like, he's like,
What's the population east, or I guess north of Spring Valley, east of Midway? I know it's all like buildings.
this right
Do
here,
we have any, no, more east on the other side of Midway?
0.
It is 0, that's
We
all.
put the blue dots up earlier, so she'll put the dots up. If it's orange, it's got people in it. If it's blue, it's got none. So that's how we found this one.
Oh.
That's how we found this guy to bring into 4 in order to give all that back to 4 down south. That's how we found this one to move.
Blue is 0?
Blue is 0.
It's all commercial.
Okay, so if you were to take, you could put this guy, you could take this one. Well, 4 is already low, so there's no point in putting this one in here unless you give him more of Johnson Park. Does that make sense? But you were wanting to put Johnson Park in 2. Right? Okay, so let's try to put Johnson Park in 2.
I mean, we're trying to make a new map anyways.
Right, we just saved this one, correct?
Okay, I do.
We did. Okay, so you can just, we don't need to delete it, we can just start from here.
That's the one that's got like 1,700.
Yeah.
1,700.
For some reason, it's picking up that.
That's the story of my life.
Listen to what I'm telling it to do. Here we go.
That's got it.
Here we go.
Okay, so we put that into 2.
Back out a little
That
bit.
makes our
Okay, so-
Wow.
deviation 41%.
Yeah, well, that's like what our deviation is right today.
1800.
That's kind of like where our deviation is at right now. Okay, so if you do that, you can strip all of everything away south of Valley View, and you can put that into 4, or you can actually have to put it into 5, but then you have to take a street and use a street as a way that you're grabbing continuous land. So then you take this street right here, and that's how you connect 5 down to here, which they allow that to happen, but I don't know, I think it's kind of.
Okay, this into 4.
Well, it's gonna have to go to 4 or 5.
How's that?
It'd have to be 4, because.
Must be in 4, don't touch 5.
Oh, so 5 is still high?
5 is
Five's
down.
still
No, 5 is
Now we
low,
gotta
5
add
is 2,000
population to
low, or 1,100 low.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got one we can grab into 5. Come over here, grab this guy right here into 5.
Yeah,
That's where Luby's is.
but then it's gonna take it away from 4, and 4 is gonna go even lower.
Now, 2 and 5 need to exchange something.
So 2 and 5, so 2 needs to lose and 5 needs to gain. Okay, so there's one census block that grabs all this right here, like, I forgot the neighborhood that's called. It's where. Right here.
You're not talking about Spur.
This one right here.
Oh,
Like,
that
click
one.
this one. I think this one goes and grabs.
This guy?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it right there. Put that in 5. How many is that? 275.
Put it in 4?
Which one do we need to put in?
Putting it at 5.
5.
Oh, that'll make it a weird.
Oh, are you pointing cotton? You wanna grab this one above it so that it touches?
So it skips over.
Well, no,
But
no.
you're gonna cut off 2.
Yeah, what we're gonna try to have to do is 2 still high?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
2's
2's
low.
gotta get rid of some population.
2's gotta get rid of population. So what if you took this whole area out of 2 right here? Either-
Oh, okay.
See how much that is, all those along there.
Okay, into 4?
And that's 603. So if we take 603, that's gonna get this down to 7,000, which is where we want to be. That needs to go into 4, but then we need to take it from 4 and put it into 5.
Okay, now 4 and 5 need to swap.
So 4 and 5 need to swap. So we need to put 700
What about,
from 4 into 5.
what about over by Inwood? And use alpha.
Put your dots back on the screen. There's no dot, there's nothing out there. All blue
Yeah,
dots.
So what if?
So we grabbed all this right here.
No, like that area.
This
It
area right
doesn't
here.
There's nobody there.
I don't know how we're gonna connect it.
Yeah, I would.
There's no streets. So what they use is they use these streets right here. Some of these streets are usable, but there's no streets to use to connect it.
So.
And take that whole.
So 2 is like a booth.
If you took that whole piece with that,
That's how you could connect that bottom corner back to the main body.
Yeah, but that's District
That's
4.
too- that's too
That's
much.
just, yeah, that's District 4. I mean, you're taking the whole, and then District 4 has nothing. That's 1,200 people.
Yeah,
That's
1,000
1,200 people. You need half that.
I mean, it would be like one little.
It was just flip flop the numbers, yeah.
Yeah, you just flip the numbers completely right there.
what about Brookhaven College here and then that portion? right
Yeah, where the townhouses are.
Maybe undo that.
You want those in 4 or 5?
there? No, 5.
The colleges are up at 0.
Yes, I know, but the one next to it has some.
This guy.
Yeah, but now you're gonna cut off the west side, you're gonna cut off the district out there. That's Blue Lake. That's eventually gonna have something, but we're not talking about eventually, we're talking about today.
It's only 51 people.
Okay, we're not grabbing that, yeah.
I think your population's here. That's only 140.
Okay, so then what you have to think about is,
Now
you have to
you've got
still,
4 and a half.
so 2 is where we need to be, but 4 and 5 are still not right. So then what you can do is you can take from 1 to put it in 2, and you shift the whole map as a circle, as it's spinning. But you have incumbents that are on the edge right here. You have one incumbent that's right here on the edge, and you have one incumbent that's right here on the edge, as well as out there. So, I don't know, do you think it's possible?
Well, I mean, if we're trying to make a new map, then we should at least try and shift it.
Okay, so if we do,
But-
and we spin this, there's a
people out.
push pin in the map right there. Does that make sense? We have
Yeah.
a candidate right here, so
Well, then
that
I
we
will hold on to
know.
this until after the election.
We can do that, but that's not assignment tonight, it's
I know,
map
but
6.
that's the problem, is the pin in these pins. Unless we shift it or not even shift it, but like drastically, which I guess that's what.
I agree with, in principle, for what you're saying. You want to get that whole group in Johnson Park into 2, so it's kind of because they're in the same kind of voting, that's not what I want to say, they're in the same kind of.
They'd be represented by
neighborhood.
the same.
But do we want to throw everything else that we gained, that is the continuity of the districts and all of the other things that the population,
Well, it's just to make a new map.
Yeah.
It's just to try new.
See what else you
Yeah,
can
but I-
do besides, it's a good map, see what else you can do.
Well, so what you missed is we actually have a temp 6,
Yeah, what?
a temporary 6. So we just, before you got here, we worked on a map and came up with a temporary number 6. So this is the one that we voted unanimously that we're gonna push up to council, but we're looking to make a second, so they have 2 options. And so with that being said, we came up with another map that she can go back to, that it cuts off 5, it makes all this District 4, and then gives a little bit of this to 5. So we can kind of, so see that right there? So what they did is we got this piece of the Brookhaven Estates back in there. We got Wooded Creek back into 5, as well as the Cambridge and the old mobile campus and all that good stuff into 5. And,
What campus?
you know, Exxon Mobil.
Okay.
The Cambridge Crossing.
School
stuff's kind of-
campus.
Yeah, the school campus, but there's on what used to be that land, there's Cambridge Crossing
Right.
right there.
Yeah.
So when we did that, we took this, I think we were reaching a little bit when we got District 5 coming all the way down to 635. Now we have District 5 compacted, and we have District 4 kind of getting back its linear look that it had to begin with. That's what we stopped that 10 minutes where you walked in. And then we started another map.
Can we put the red and blue dots back up?
You mean the orange? Oh, you mean for the,
Yeah.
So, but if I'm reading this one, so the 4 comes all the way down and kind of hooks up.
Follows the
Kinda does it.
river.
Right here, are you
Like,
talking about right here?
so
Yes.
what I want to do is, let's just load it. Can we save this as this is one that, so we don't lose what we did with Jessica and show him 6, I mean?
Yes.
We're gonna lose it, we're just gonna say it's a temporary map.
You don't, we work on this one, come back to the 6 later.
Well, this may come up after the election, is what we're figuring out. Is they want to look at, is there any tweaking we can do with the election results that make our maps even stronger?
Yeah, that's fine.
But I don't want to work on that now because it's going to be relevant right now.
Very
We're
speculative.
just very
We
speculative.
can have fun doing that, but.
it's not
I
worth
almost think it's like a waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
Right, there's four different permutations you have,
Right.
depending on what the outcome of the election
Right,
is.
so go back and load what we had as 6 with just nothing else on it. 6 with the overlay of the red lines of 4. So there's what we got. So David, so the lines
Wait,
of.
no.
that's not it.
There we go.
There
That's
it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this, red lines are 4, the other map from 2 meetings ago. And 6, the temp map, is what we just came up with a little while ago, which put some of put some of Johnson Park back into 4. It put all of this area of Brookhaven back into 4. It put this back into a 5, I mean, and then it made this, you know, it extended 4 all the way back to Josie Lane, whatnot.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
So if I recall correctly, we're supposed to present to council in June, right? The maps.
It's June 7th now, not the 21st. Were you here for that?
But I think I saw it in Amy's email.
Yeah.
And the election is what, 2 or 3 weeks before that day?
May 7th.
May 7th.
Okay, so could we agree, maybe as a committee, that once the election results come in, that if there's some changes that we could need to make, or maybe do a new map after that?
Sure.
Before the presentation? Because I appreciate, like, and I respect all of the concerns everyone has, but I feel like at the same time, we could do a lot of good by dealing with the census blocks.
Oh, yeah.
No,
and I
that's
wanna-
why I want to
I
do that.
wanna-
That's why I
I
want to
mean-
do that. That's the whole
Were you
reason.
here
why.
when he said that?
No, I'm supporting him, like, I'm
Oh, okay. I
agreeing
was
with
like,
what
he
he's
totally
saying.
said that.
I said, I did.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with what he's saying.
Right.
I think it's great that we play around and consider all of the neighborhoods, but it will throw a lot of candidates and incumbents out. And I don't want I don't want it to be an act of frustration.
Right.
Is my
We don't want
point.
a futile waste. So what this did is this brought our deviation up a little bit, I think 0.7%, but it compacted the map some more, and what else did it do?
So the big differences in 5 and 4?
Only 2 changes were 5 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 do not change.
Mhm.
So the only changes were the, you know,
How
how we
about,
had
all right,
this.
so 5 wraps on around, and.
It kind of follows the creek.
Yeah, it follows the creek,
Right.
follows Farmers Ranch Creek.
Right, right.
It also brings the deviation from 4 down from 5.34 to 4.11.
And Johnson Park was already in 4
Yeah.
previously. We put part of it back in
Yeah.
4.
That's interesting, because then that actually lets 4, you know 4 is gonna grow because of what's going on right over at Luby's, so it
And
catches
right
up.
before you walked in, that was, we didn't want to make this number too big, more than this, on banking on the known growth we're going to have, because we're not here for that. We're here what our numbers are.
Right.
So that's about as big as the known growth factor could be. We know we've entitled a bunch of things over there that aren't on there, and that aren't even on the census, but we're not here to.
This one at least improved 5. Like, it,
It improved, I think it improved 5 and it improved 4.
yeah.
Well, I think that was the issue you were concerned about, is your neighborhood, and then because it
And apparently
pulls.
some people went to his house over it.
Yeah, you missed all of that, David.
2
You're gonna-
residents in this neighborhood stop by my house and tell me, why were they not in Brookhaven District anymore? I
Yeah.
said, well,
Right.
we can discuss it.
So, okay, so 4 doesn't, I mean, you lose in 4, what you're really losing, or what you're losing in 4 is more apartments than anything.
Well, Cambridge is not all apartments. Cambridge is
But
single-family
most of
houses.
4 is apartments.
Oh, you mean the Lakeside or Lake Hill?
Lakeside and all of those that
Yeah.
right across from Green Hill. So you're spreading some of the apartments out into a 3rd district instead of 1 and 4 having almost all the apartments.
I can say this
Now,
number 3
one-
didn't, 5
one-
didn't have
yeah.
any apartments.
Right, 1, 3, and 4, I'm sorry. 3 and 4 had most of the apartments, now you split it up to 3, 4, and 5, and 1 now has some of them. So really, 2's the only one that's gonna be very difficult to get apartments in, but.
It's a 1-for-1 swap. If you take one house out, you put one in, there's no place that you can
Right.
concentrate apartments or multifamily, whether it be a condo or whatever. So if this is where we are with map 6, then we'll take the word temp off of it, and this will be map 6. And it's gonna vie for either one of the 2 spots, unless this other map that we make after the election results takes over one of those 2 spots.
Yep.
But this still could be a 2nd place or a 1st place. It just depends on what happens. So now with that said, let's go ahead and save this to 6. And then we're gonna go around the room, we're gonna bring up census blocks that we think need to be changed. And we're gonna change directions now, okay?
Agreed.
I think that we've got some that we're gonna go ahead and recommend. So they're in the record, we've already elevated the council, they can do what they want with it, but it's almost as if they make a resolution surrounding it. If they were to accept that information, it just happens, the GIS will just it'll happen in their files, right? Their shape file will be, because we're the ones who send the census, our shape file with the census blocks in it, right?
I think we have to go ahead and petition, go ahead and petition the folks to change those.
Those, is when they do a block boundary review, then we can try to get something in front of the ledge council and see. But it really, those block boundaries are gonna change based on how much population is in or out of them. So
Right.
if they lose population, they're gonna get bigger. If they gain population, they're gonna get smaller. So it's.
But wouldn't the basis of our argument be drawing the fairest map splits the block? We're trying to draw the fairest map, but we can't because the block is not splittable. But if we had the block split, we could draw the fairest map. I think that's our argument.
Yeah, that's true, but the only thing that could happen is you could pan all these and say, these are terrible geography for us, can we get some better lines? And they may say yes and fix it, and then you'll end up with bad ones in other places, because it's a fabric.
I get it, but we're gonna cut it, right? We're gonna be the ones that say, I mean, like the Myra one, we would wanna cut at Templeton. We would not want, because right now it extends a half a mile along the service road from, if Templeton was to go all the way through to the service road, all the way to Webb Chapel. It includes that entire area. So for instance, if maybe we're wasting our time by coming up with this
It's
recommendation.
possible, I mean, so it just depends. Part of the problems that we see a lot with geography, well, there are several, but the Bureau tries to get the information out, and they try to solicit an information from the local government.
That's us.
And they're being more receptive to that than they have in the past, because they realize that the local government data is better, obviously. City data is gonna be way better than anything that.
So if
federal
we
government-
and by us looking at this under a magnifying glass, we're just gonna make our city data even better.
It's possible. The issue with that is that they're not gonna touch this again until like 2028.
Right, like
So you
18 months
gotta go
before.
8 years with folks changing and turning over and people coming in and out, and then you've gotta be able to catch it at the right spot when the ledge council starts reviewing.
Right, and I completely hear what you're saying, but my argument is, this neighborhood has been drawn this way, and the houses are 50 years old. This neighborhood right here, that goes like this, is 70 years old. We're not, if it's 1-for-1 in and out, well, it's a 1-for-1 ad, but we're not, there is an apartment or a senior living facility going in, but it doesn't make sense to have this not split right here. It doesn't make any sense.
So you're telling me another facility is coming in that area?
Being built right now.
Well, then, that's what's gonna happen, is they're gonna cut it anyway, because you're gonna exceed the population that they're gonna feel comfortable putting in that block.
So what other, besides that census block, are there others that?
There's this one right here,
Oh, yeah.
Which show?
this side, there you go. That one,
So that's my street or neighborhood, so is that a single census block, or is that two right there?
no, undo this one, undo that one. Unclick that one.
Let me zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, this is one, and then there's another one. So this is the Myra one that I keep talking about, and this is the Templeton Park one that runs along the creek.
Right.
And that won't change, but the one below it will.
It could, because when this one builds out, they may say, well, let's take this and take part of that, and so that gets shortened, but this will add 300.
And that's what happens. The block has a population threshold in order to be built. And so once the Census Bureau reaches that threshold, they start, they just start seeing the fabric change a little bit, and the configurations change. They are bound by physical features. So a lot of times we'll see a big block that gains population, we'll see it cut in half, or we'll see some moderate changes to it. But the problem is the distance between us pointing out the errors now and it actually coming online 10 years from now, or 8 years from now, or 6 years from now. I mean, it's almost a crapshoot sometimes if you can get somebody to follow up on it.
I'm ready.
Okay, well, here we go. He's gonna do it.
We are. I want to equip them with the information so they know where we find problematic areas. I think we already know some. So I want to go around the table, and if anyone has any, I'm going to be the one that says the Myra Lane and this one right here. That's going to be the one that definitely I feel needs to change or had be split in some way, shape, or form.
Are these the only two that are like that?
No, we've got a bunch of other ones, but there was one out there working, but I'm sure I'm not the only person that's seen these. There's others that have seen them that know, like, for instance, let's stop real quick. If someone wants to pick this one on this, click right here.
Let me grab mine.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry, it isn't that one, is it? It's the big long one that has the hook.
It goes along the railroad tracks.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
That one is,
Oh,
we,
read it
did I
back.
need like divided by 5? That's another one that needs to be divided.
and see, now the other problem with this one is if there's build out, it'll change.
Significant. Well, there's significant build out today and 2 years ago, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, but we have to consider what it is, what we got on the board. 35,770, that's
Yeah,
what
but
we got.
but in this exercise, Michael, we're thinking in the future, and we're thinking about what census blocks are problematic from the next people doing what we're doing, drawing the fairest map.
And
So, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, because I feel like I've slept since then, but when we're doing like the different districts, we really can't draw a district in between the census block, right? So, I mean, breaking them up into smaller pieces, I mean, I think we all know the population's gonna grow, especially in 4, and they're gonna have to redo this anyway. It would seem to me that we're making the next folks' job easier by having it smaller as opposed to bigger, because as we talk about the shift
That's
that
what
we're gonna have
That's
to
what I'm
do.
trying to do. I'm
Right.
trying to give them.
I'm agreeing for the second time with you tonight.
That's awesome. We are there. Yes.
I think we should call it into the meeting.
Yes. Yeah. No. We've got time. Okay, so like she said twice now, I'm trying to help this. I feel like we've done 85% of what we were tasked to do. And now we've got a little bit of time left. And we've seen some blocks that have made us not be able to draw the most fair map. So if you see any or know any of those other ones, those are what I would like to identify. What are you talking about?
I didn't say anything.
Okay, I'd like to identify those so we know what we can elevate that to council and say, hey, not only these are our maps, here's what we want, or here's our suggestion, but here's a secondary thing. Here are some census blocks that we feel are problematic to drawing the most.
So Bronson, so of the 3, we know there's probably more, but.
Well, there's the Tanglewood one, there's the one in Brookhaven that extends all the way up Tanglewood and all the way below Brookhaven.
So let's put those 2 on there, and so we have at least 5 on there, and let me finish the thought,
Okay, go ahead.
just so I can see what we've got.
Oh, put another one on there?
Yeah, the 2 that you just mentioned.
Okay, so we know we got Tanglewood right here. Click on this guy.
This one?
Yeah. This one, no, there's one that goes above and below Brookhaven.
Okay, let me get rid of this one.
Oh, no, we fixed that. Half that was in 2 and 5.
Okay.
Right now, if we currently look at it, half was in 2 and half was in 5, so we fixed all that.
Yes.
Okay, so where was another one at? Another one was at, oh, right here, this one right here, the middle finger, or the thumb.
Oh, yeah.
Right here in the middle of, right there.
This guy.
Correct. And then this one right here.
Here?
Yep. They're gigantic.
Wow.
Okay, so that's all I can really think
Right,
about.
so given what we know, the one out in 3 that circles a lake, with all the growth, it's gonna get so changed when the next round happens. I don't think we'd focus on that one. It is gonna change so much, we don't even know what to look at. The one, because of the development of the senior center at Myra, that one's gonna automatically change because we know the vast increase in the population right there. It's the other 3 that they're not going to change population-wise significantly because they're in fixed neighborhoods.
Right.
So those, it would seem to me, those would be the ones we identify for council to keep in mind.
Right, and I don't want us to think we're gonna cut them up and show them how to do it. We're just identifying the block, saying this is a problem. In the future, just know.
Yeah.
You know, because we, like David said, we know this is gonna get changed. because the streets even look different in there right now. I mean, the streets are different, so,
But I think we should still list it, even though we know it's likely gonna change,
Right.
we could still list it so that they pay extra attention to make sure that it does actually change how it's supposed to.
Yeah, I think you
I
can,
believe-
you create categories of.
there might be one right here.
Yeah, there was one up there.
There's one right here that's got 1,800 in it or 1,300 in it.
That was one with like in the middle of the street, right? Wasn't it somewhere up there?
Is it the tall one that goes up?
Try this one, see what it was, what's he, yeah, click that one.
That guy right
Yeah.
there?
1478, 1595. That's prime, and then this one behind it, I guarantee is another 1,000.
Well, these are cumulative.
Oh,
That number
okay.
over there is
Oh, okay,
cumulative.
no, no, we weren't at that.
It's got all the.
So no, we can't, I don't know what that means then.
There was one somewhere over there though.
It
There
like
is.
wrapped around, right?
Yeah, is it the one underneath it?
No, I think it's these right here, this, right in this
Oh,
area.
the other one?
1595, so knowing what 1478, let's see what we add.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, 1,200,
That's the one.
1,200.
I don't know how to
Are
remember
you
that.
able to like show all the census blocks for the city?
Well, we just
Is
highlight
it
the whole.
possible? I mean, I'm just, what if
Oh.
somebody doesn't know, like let's
Yeah,
say
I-
Bronson said earlier, like that was the ones that he could think of, but what if there's more and we just don't know?
Clicked on them, yeah.
Is there a way that you could like, you know how you put the dots and then magically we can see who's people, or if there's people there or not people? Can you just like click on
Remove
something
the
where it shows
streets.
all the census blocks for the city?
So right now, the lines are there, they're just not
Yeah, they're
highlighted.
light
Let
green.
me clean
So
off the
they're-
map.
I see.
These
Okay.
light green are the lines right now.
Gotcha.
Can we filter by population within the census?
There we go.
blocks?
Hold on a minute. How's that? Is that better?
Now, Kelsey wants to see census blocks, let's just say over 500.
Oh, there are a lot, yeah.
Census blocks over 500.
But I guess you have to zoom in to know where it
To
stops.
know.
No,
Yeah.
she can put this heat map on this and show a threshold.
When, Sherry, when the next time they redraw all the census blocks, are they gonna be limited to the same number of census blocks, and the only thing that changes the number of people in the block? Or can the number of
That's a
census
good
blocks
question.
increase?
It depends. The blocks, what makes the blocks change is the number of population that gets enumerated inside them. So if they gain population, they're gonna get smaller. If they lose population, they're gonna get bigger.
Right, but right now, Farmers Branch has how many census?
Let's just say we have 800. Is there a way to us to go 900?
To do the threshold for,
No, what I think he was asking is, right now we have, let's just say we had 800 census blocks. Is there something that caps us at that? Are they gonna make the same amount
oh, no.
Get more.
You'll get as many as it takes to
to evenly distribute the
hold all
population?
your people.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right, so will the ideal size of the census block be static?
It's usually, yes.
So
They have,
in
I
8 years-
can't recall them off the top of my head, but there are thresholds for the size of a block.
Okay, so that's what really would dictate
That's
the
what
number.
drives the shape.
A minimum or a maximum?
Not only that, there are actually two things. It's the size of the block or the number of people that's in the block, but it's also visible features. You know, they have to tie a block to something that is a street. A lot of these weird ones are following creeks, that's why they have the odd shape.
Okay. All right, so does that render the exercise we're trying to do almost worthless? The number.
She already said it's almost worthless because they don't know that they're gonna accept it. I'm a betting man, I'm gonna take the crap, I'm gonna bank on.
Isn't that what we're doing anyway?
You don't-
These maps could be.
The council could say no.
Yeah, so.
So
Let's
let's
just keep it going. What are we doing here?
No, I think they put us all in here because they need to trust something and they don't have the time to get in the weeds like we've been in the weeds.
And part of the thing is, I mean, every 10 years that we've, you know, kind of seen the progression of this data come through, the data's better. You know, I mean, in 2001, when I was doing it, I had a road that went like this, and the Census Bureau had it going down like this, and it was bad. I mean, it was really bad. And every 10 years, the technology gets better. They start accepting more local data. I'm hoping in 10 years, they'll have more input from local data, GIS people, you know, from the cities and stuff. So the chances are that a lot of this will resolve itself just by the virtue of technology.
Well, yeah, and if they're gonna, if the they keep the ideal census block size pretty consistent. And is that driven by the legislature?
You know, it is the Census Bureau's.
Okay, so if Census Bureau doesn't come in and say, we're gonna jack with the size, the number, then we know because farmers ranches go in, then the census blocks are likely to contract in size rather than number. So that, I think, is going to alleviate some of these problems. So it makes this exercise fun, but probably valueless in 8 years when they redraw or recalculate the number of census blocks that we're gonna have.
Unless they accept the city.
But the thing is,
Yeah,
Is
she's
good.
saying
Look at
that
this
they're
over here.
taking.
See this one that's got this giant orange dot? I will bet anyone in this room, they're not changing it. Because the people aren't changing there. It's the same houses, the same number, nothing's gonna change. And this creates a problem when we're trying to draw a fair map. Okay, so that's what I understand what she's saying, and I understand what he's saying, that this could be a futile waste of time. But
Where's his now?
in order for us to make the most fair map, this is not changing, but we need it to change. We need it to be cut through the street that comes out right here in the middle, which they don't even show it on there. Glenside, right?
So the unintended consequences, you may say this one, but then you create somewhere down the bottom and it gets goofy, on the bottom half. So let's say you cut it in half and it's not going to be big enough to meet their minimum.
But no, we're just trying to cut. Just identify, right? We're not, we're just identifying the street location or whatever.
Yeah,
And
we're not
then we
actually.
put them on notice that this is an issue that perhaps they should look at, but we don't tell them, cut it at this street.
Yeah.
Is there
Okay.
any
I don't know that there's
reason
anything wrong with
they drew
that.
it like that?
If I could add something, and I couldn't hear everything that Sherry said, she may have already covered this, but it seems to me, and Sherry can correct me if I'm wrong, because she's certainly the expert about the blocks. The population is not going to govern the blocks. It may govern what they define as a census tract, but the block won't necessarily be governed by population. In fact, there will be a lot of zero population blocks throughout the city.
We got it.
But the roads or other sort of physical feature will typically govern what the block is. So if we want to cut it someplace, but there's no physical feature to show that, there'll be great reluctance
But what you just said, Glenside,
to make that cut. Is that correct?
But correct, but this has got a street right here that they could cut it on.
But it doesn't go all the
Yeah,
way across.
right. If there's a
It
street,
does,
that
right?
makes
It
it a lot
does.
easier.
It turns into that neighborhood and you go either way on that street.
So you're.
To Harley, and what's the other direction?
to Glenside, isn't it?
No, Glenside was one that did dead ends.
Dead ends into Harley, and then Harley, and then whatever the other direction is. This street right here, this goes through to right,
Yeah.
right here, which you could split it here and split it there.
But does it go all the way, does it go?
It does, it crosses
To
over
here.
West
Yeah,
Chapel.
Yeah.
And-
How you get into this neighborhood is right here and down here. Or you come from the,
Yeah, from the other side.
right.
Yeah, you can see, by the way, that there is a very skinny block, which I suspect is
A street.
the median of a divided street or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's the street.
Oh, yeah, there are plenty of opportunities to cut that,
Right.
those streets.
And that was one that block size made it,
Impossible to put
made it,
into
when we were stuck in that area,
Yeah.
it would have helped us not be stuck in that area. And I think to drawing a fair map, some of these are a hindrance. But they're not gonna
And
change.
that's one that should be easy to cut.
It should be, but
For the census
it's not gonna
bureau.
change.
But she said they may not cut it.
You can, I don't think any effort is futile. I mean, you can mark these and we can follow them and you can track them, and when the ledge council starts doing their block boundary project, we can submit it.
It would just be what the city submits in their files to the census, right?
No, well, technically, no. I mean, yes, it will, that will, if they mark that and they make an effort to say, hey, look, you don't have this right,
Is anybody
yes.
gonna be around to remind the council?
Bronson will.
If it's, if we do, and they pass a resolution, it's not, why not? Why would it not be? We've been bound by, as council, by resolutions past 5 years by then.
By the next time we do this, I'm gonna be retired.
I might be back on council.
Yeah?
But wouldn't this all be in the notes that we're talking about this? So
But no, we have to
whoever,
keep this for a couple of years.
Yeah, but yeah, this is
That's
for
right.
redistricting, but that's gonna be a different
It's-
issue.
Put this on
But
the
we've
calendar
all,
for
this is the
future
first time our
time.
city's ever done this. This is important.
Right.
So, just a general question, so like, let's say fast forward to 2030, and there's a new committee that's gotta do this, are they able to make some recommendations about the census blocks then, before they start doing anything with the map?
28 is when it will occur.
The Bureau actually starts this process several years before they actually enumerate the census. So you're looking at 2028, 2027, 28, right around in there.
Right.
You'll start seeing stuff kick up about the geography. So,
So let's say that nothing gets done, right? Then it would just stay the same, and then the next committee would have to then contend with the blocks as they are today.
yes, but
That's
keep
the
in
whole
mind
reason.
that some of these other blocks may change as well.
Because the population.
Right, so these could change because of some other area growing so much that they've got to carve them up and push them out, kind of like, you know, water balloon, you switch the water balloon, and it contracts here, but it expands out over there, so.
You tend to see the block structures. I think you're gonna see more changes in the blocks in those areas you've identified already that are growing. You know, obviously, your block structure is gonna change there. You know, we've looked at a couple of cities that have had a lot of growth, and you can see the difference.
Right, but and with that being said, that's not, and I get that. I know
It's not gonna
but
happen
I'm
with
not
those.
worried about those. I'm worried about our problematic blocks that have been there for 70 years.
Oh, you know, actually, I think I have the block file from 2010. Maybe I can pull that in and you can kind of look
So you
and
think it
see.
changed between there and there?
You'll
I'd
be
like
able to see if the lines don't line up, you'll be able to see what
Let's
they
just
mentioned.
do 2 maps with census blocks from 2010, 2020, nothing else on there.
It'd take me just a second.
No problem. We got time. Nothing but time. Nothing but time.
I almost brought cookies.
You wouldn't have had gluten-free ones, so.
Bronson, were you the architect of 6?
The idea of 6?
Yeah.
I thought it made sense, but then once I figured out that there is a faction that does not, well, not a faction, I'm gonna say there's people that don't want the mayor to vote, whether the mayor is the mayor now or anyone, or there's also the dilution factor that the council feels they're gonna be diluted because they'd have to have another member, another at-large, which is the dilution factor. So there's a lot of things, and once you start really talking about that, and you know it's not going anywhere, why waste our time?
yep.
Now, this
This could
is
be
a
a no,
different
but-
conversation at 2030, completely different. If our population is 55,000, it's a different topic.
Yeah, because in the last, with Nancy, in the last 2 charter review committees, we talked about the 5 versus 6 districts and 5 versus 2 at large, and basically at the end, pretty unanimous in both of those meetings, and they were 5 years apart, that sticking at 5 was the right thing to do until all the west side was built out, and then the east side has become an issue more within the last 7 years. So-
Right, if we're above 50, it's a topic. But if we're not there yet, which, who knows, I was very shocked that we only got 7,000 between 2010 and 2020. I mean, we did more than 10,000 apartments, so I'm not sure how that
It
happens.
just hadn't been opened or occupied.
Leased up, yep.
Okay, everywhere you see a green color showing, like I've got the 2010s are black. So anytime you see green over here.
So they already hit
those
the
are
west
new-
side.
Those are
I gotta
new
come
block
up here and look.
structures. Here's the new block structure.
So if I'm not mistaken, I see some green right here at the Burke Park. I see here, all around the lake. I see a street here and a street here. I see the Myra Lane one that's causing a problem. And Cambridge Crossing got added. And anything at the top of the
Let
map?
me give you the rest of it.
Nothing up there and a couple of streets over here.
Looks like they
So
split that
what
one.
did Harley look like? Is there any change on?
Zero.
Harley?
They're still missing the street, still
Yeah.
missing the street.
Oh, that's funny.
And those homes have been there.
So that didn't change at all. So that census block is still, was the same now as it was in 10.
So that's why we should highlight that.
If we didn't tell them they need to change, why would they change it?
Right.
Because the data's the same, it's gonna be the same again. But it can help us draw a more fair map. I think that's our argument, our legal argument, right, Kevin?
Of course.
He's like, I'll be gone by then.
And as a group, we're looking forward and we're thinking about what's gonna happen in 10 years. And
Right.
it makes it easier on the
6
next
years.
group that's gonna be doing it. And that's being good citizens.
And this is not 10, this is 6. We're 2 years into the 10.
Yes.
And it occurs at 8, so we're 6 years away.
Okay, so some of us will
Get
still
some of
be
this a
there.
little
Yeah.
closer. See here, they cleaned up.
They cleaned up.
See, that's what, that's, it's cleanup, it's new blocks, it's new areas. I mean, as long as you can have somebody track it as it goes along, you have I would say you have a fair chance of getting your changes made.
Our leader here,
That's a
Yes, Ron's.
our leader over
Our
here is
leader.
gonna be tracking this.
Every day refresh.
I might,
We'll call each other every year.
Okay.
Okay, did someone
This
check?
is the year.
10 hours in. I'm kidding, that's why you're a fearless leader.
Yeah, I might swim back through council again, you never know.
You will. Did she say it too? I said you will.
Not right now.
Once we hit 57 and there's 7 council members.
God, 57,000 people in 12 square miles, that's a lot.
That's too much,
That's a lot.
It's gonna happen.
The east side looks completely different,
All right.
which is fantastic, because that build out would be a lot more valuable than what we got out there.
Okay, so we've got 5 that we've identified,
So
5 or
should we
6, and are there the interior ones in the established neighborhoods that seem to be more, would have higher priority for the city to focus on in 6 years.
Or could we just make a list of these are the ones that we've noticed
Like priority.
that are problematic and just
How do
leave
we,
it like that?
how do we quantify this one?
Is there a number or name to
Is
that
there a
census
name
block?
for it or a number?
Oh, yes, they have long, that,
Oh,
so
so
what I
this-
can do is, we can do,
Yes.
yeah, I'll pull them all out, I'll pull them
Yes.
out, and we'll do a map of each one, I'll put their block number on it, and the block number is,
Can we
it's-
lay that over like a street to show this one is missing a street?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, I mean,
That's
we,
what
we've
need.
got, I mean, I can give you some looks at how we could prepare the exhibits for you guys. And
Okay, so
kind
what
of
we'll
decide you
do
like.
is, there's what, 4 or 5, is there anyone else? This is like going once, going twice kind of thing. This is,
Well, even if those streets are adjoining and on the updated maps, those houses and the church, they're not gonna change. They're just gonna, they'll still be there. It'll be a 1-for-1.
No, you-
Even if you can cross over.
no, you're right, but what would stop us, right now, we could take Glenn's side where it comes right through here. We could move that as a piece. We
I
can't
see,
because
yeah.
it's got that census block that goes through
Yeah.
there. There were some large interior Brookhaven ones, but you're not gonna.
You're gonna have problems with the golf course.
Yeah, it's very, very.
There's not a whole lot you
huge.
can do about that.
You mean there are a lot of changes or just?
No, there's their big census blocks.
you
Anything
wouldn't
living
really
out
wanna
there now
split
are
those up
coyotes
anyway.
and squirrels, so.
Right.
There's gonna be.
Oh, wait, what's the duck
Place
today?
to
'Cause
live.
that-
There's
The
gonna
coyote
be one on
on
the
it,
west
but he
side
keeps
that
moving,
figure's gonna
so you
go.
don't know which
There's
direction
one
he's
like
in.
They're gonna come back and
Transient.
lay the streets
The streets
out,
in,
and they're
yeah.
gonna know they need to put some blocks in where the streets are. You know, I would think by
You would
then,
hope,
there could be another 5,000 people out there,
Yeah.
at least.
but it doesn't hurt to
Right.
keep it on there that this needs to be changed.
Yeah.
You don't wanna bank that they're gonna do it, right?
Yeah, that's the rationale. Or they just see it and then next time they know, like, oh, they fixed it, cool,
Well,
cross
if
that one
we
off.
make the council now understand that this, we want this in some resolution form, separate than our maps, and they understand it and pass it, then it kind of binds the future, does it not bind them to do it?
Is this one census block or is that split?
That's one, but there's a ton of streets in there.
So that'll be divided eventually.
Yeah,
Put it in the report.
But why not have them have a resolution that separately identifies
I
that?
think we just recommend that they do a resolution to do it.
That's separate, so let's just say we give them map 1 and map 2, that's a resolution, they go and pick it. They say, this is the map we want, and they come up to that, and they come a resolution saying, this is the map we're choosing. But then if we give them a secondary set of census block numbers, let's say there's 7 of them, can they make a resolution that binds the council down the road to,
No.
they gotta do it?
No,
They just have to come back in 6
Future
years.
council can always come back and change it.
So can we do anything more than submit a recommendation to council that they?
So all this
I mean,
is
that-
gonna be like,
You remember when we did the last, if you recall, when we did the last charter review,
Mhm.
what we did is we, the charter review committee came forward with their recommendations for what to change in the charter, then we kind of had a little supplemental comments of, these are future issues for you to look at, that we could include in the report, but it wasn't part of the formal recommendation.
So that's how we'll do it.
The campaign finance thing was one of them, for example. I think that was one of the ones in the report that we said, this was a topic, everybody talked about it, we want to look at it. So it can be part of kind of the supplemental, here's things to look at, and future actions we suggest the council consider that's not officially part of the adoption of the new districts.
But isn't that what you're saying, Ronson?
that's what we're gonna do.
But the report would.
Sounds like we're gonna do.
Yeah, they wouldn't necessarily take action
Doesn't bind them, but.
on the census block, other than, because really what happens there, since the council doesn't really do that, what they would do is they would just recommend to staff to engage council to assist with whatever correspondence we gotta do with the Census Bureau to go forward
Just
with
through our GIS
requesting these things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Bureau does an annual survey, it's called the Boundary and Annexation Survey.
Oh, I gotta get my pen to write down.
And they do that every year. And I can check to see if when they do that annual review, it's usually just the city limit line.
Okay,
I
what
can-
was that called?
I don't know for sure, but I can check and follow up and see
Boundary
if they
and
will do
something
any
review.
interior updates. And we might be able to catch it that way. But
Boundary
I don't know
and
for sure. I
annexation
think it's
survey?
that.
Did you say it was the boundary and annexation survey?
Boundary and Annexation Survey.
That comes from the census people, federal.
Yes, to the highest ranking government official. And that official usually stuffs the maps in the closet and we never see them again.
It seems to me that if we don't do this at this level though, and correct that street that doesn't go all the way through where it should.
It'll never get
and-
done.
And ask that some of these, who's ever gonna do it?
Because we see it didn't get corrected this last time.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're also the first to do this, so.
Let's tell
Right.
them. Power the people.
Okay, so
Put it on your calendars.
I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here. I'll remind everyone.
Still be here?
I'll still be here.
Maybe?
Yeah, you are. Day by day.
That's a long drive, council.
That is a long drive.
I can't talk.
Interested in buying around here? Real estate?
Look at that right there. BAS.
That's the name,
That's the name.
yeah. That's what we call it. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it great? You can just
I
push a
know,
couple
right?
buttons and
Just-
You can find anything you want.
Oh, wow. There's a schedule right there. It tells you when they're gonna do it.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
You're like, where's the
I
contact
don't know.
information?
We can lobby these folks, right? We can lobby them.
Web and everything.
She's like, I'm not saying anything.
All right.
Okay, perfect. What else do we have or need to discuss or? And just make sure everyone that didn't hear or got here late, our presentation to council is now on Tuesday, June 7th.
June the 7th.
Tuesday, June 7th,
6 p.m.
6 p.m. We could be here about 5:30, just to make sure we're all together and happy.
Our matching shirts, everything.
No, we're not
Let's
the,
get mashing
we're not the bond committee. We don't need that.
Yeah, can you get us some yard signs too?
Can I get a name tag?
We'll wear our fancy things.
Okay,
Just reuse this.
And can we get formal pins too?
yes.
No, I don't.
I'd like mine
no.
bedazzled.
Yard signs, pins.
Any other questions from the commission with regards to our map number 6, which we're going to go back to and save as our official 6? That's the first one that we worked on. So we want you to publish that to the group as map number 6.
Do we save this as, or are we doing this later? Sorry.
Are we saving this as
She's
like
gonna
the
get the
blocks that we
names,
need to?
she's gonna get the names and whatever,
Oh,
the
I was
description.
listening, yep.
maybe if you sent out a current block map to us, like that you can zoom in, not an 8.5 by 11, but like maybe a 34 by 44 or 32 by
maybe
4.
we had prepared something already like that, so I'm sure you have it.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe.
We just deleted
that
that
we can all
email.
share.
No, I don't delete anything, but I tell you, I gotta go back and look. Okay, we might like be out of here quick unless we hold you back. Any other questions? Christy, look like you got questions over there. You're flipping through.
I'm just looking at the information that was sent out and seeing if there's anything that we missed, but I don't think so.
What should we be thinking about for next meeting, you think? We're gonna go through and chop up one of those like we were doing before? and-
No, I don't think that, because we won't have any results until the 11th, I think
that's
that's
true.
almost like premature to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to not meet then because it's like a prime, maybe we can start working on like a
So we
rough
don't have that
draft.
many meetings left, so.
We have a lot of meetings, but we don't have to use them,
We're going to.
but we are.
We can add them.
Do we want to go through the list of questions that listed 10 for map 6?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
our
you want-
checklist.
Oh, we can do that. I might have.
Always thinking,
Checklist.
My,
how do you feel about that?
Take them up for
Probably
next
in
time.
one meeting with what you're gonna be doing.
Tonight or for
Tonight or
next
next time?
We can do it next time.
You saw the pressure.
But I want my checklist.
we had 14 minutes.
That we were making a list of next meetings to do.
Yes.
Okay, so y'all want to do that? I don't even know where they're at, but I'll find them.
Oh, darn.
You're gonna give us 2 weeks to think about how to answer those questions.
There we go.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
our homework.
I didn't bring
Yeah.
those notes.
Because what else do we need to do next time? We could do the checklist.
We can have a quick meeting next time if we get all of it done. So we're gonna have, so next meeting, what we're gonna talk about are
27.
the checklist, right? We won't have any election results then. What else?
We can see if there's anything on that website that like, I don't know, like a way that we need to prepare the maps for submission.
Do you want to do that? You want that to be your task?
I could do it.
Okay, that'd be great. I'll look too, but great. Everyone can go to that website. Okay,
That was
sounds,
BAS.
just type in BAS space census
Census.gov.
and you'll get, it'll be. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
We adjourn at 7:47 PM.
7:47.
Early.
I know it's our earliest meeting.